Symbolic interactionism believes that meanings and symbols enable people to carry out their characteristic behaviors and interactions. Humans use symbols to communicate with each other by virtue of their pronunciation and physical gestures to acquire consistent meaning. The ability for people to communicate effectively. The interaction of the state in the international society is to construct the role image through the symbol creation and symbol cognition among the state actors, and then extends to the understanding of the role of the symbol maker. The Belt and Road is a national symbol proposed by China. China's soft power is also a kind of national strength composed of various symbols, including culture, value, idea, discourse, theory, system, and even behavioral symbols. It is a composite symbol. The effect of the Belt and Road Initiative will directly affect the status of China's soft power in the international community. However, whether it is the Belt and Road Initiative or China as soft power, these symbols must be interpreted or interacted with by the international community in order to have an effect. The Silk Road originated in 138 BC and 119 BC, when Zheng Qian, an envoy from the Chinese Empire, sent to the Western Asian countries. Since the Chinese Empire was dominated by agriculture at that time, most of the products produced were silk, porcelain, and tea. These agricultural products are traded with neighboring countries as the main products. Therefore, in the mid-19th century, the German geographer and geologist Ferdinand von Richthofen used the Silk Road for the first time in his own book to refer to the land passage mainly based on silk trade between China and the West. Today's One Belt, One Road was proposed for economic development from the very beginning, but it contains rich cultural content. The foundation of the Belt and Road is the people-to-people bond. And people-to-people bond is the goal of cultural exchange. When the cultural exchange achieves the goal of a people-to-people bond, it means that the people of all countries have accepted the Belt and Road Initiative and its practice, thus enhancing China's soft power. So, how does One Belt, One Road promote the improvement of China's soft power? To answer this question, we first need to figure out what elements are included in soft power. Regarding the source of soft power, Joseph S. IJR, Home and Abroad, who divides soft power into structural soft power, functional soft power, and policy soft power. Soft power classification. In terms of structural soft power, the most direct role of the Belt and Road Initiative is to spread Chinese culture. An important feature of the One Belt, One Road practice is that Chinese capital is developing abroad faster than at any time in history. However, Chinese capital brings out not only projects and interests, but also various languages, cultural concepts, values, and other elements contained in them. This is a way of spreading Chinese culture. That is, the way that culture spreads to the outside world. At the same time, the One Belt, One Road Initiative has also enabled the widespread dissemination of Chinese ideas. For a long time, it has been difficult for Chinese ideas and Chinese values to become popular internationally, so that Chinese ideas and values discourse are very weak. With a continuous reform and innovation within China after World War II, China realized that peace and development is the theme of the current era, and China's understanding of the international environment. Chinese values have gradually become the mainstream of the world and have been recognized by the world. The reason is that, on the one hand, with the improvement of China's international status and changes in the international situation, Chinese concepts are constantly innovating, and China's concept of development has gradually been transformed into the concept of common development in the world. China itself has changed from the discourse of national security and national interest to the discourse of world common security and common interests, and the discourse of a community with a shared future for mankind. On the other hand, the successful practice of the Belt and Road provides a material basis for the dissemination of Chinese discourse. And the practice of the Belt and Road has brought practical benefits to all parties involved, which truly reflects the concept of win-win. It has consolidated the foundation of a community with a shared future for mankind. In terms of structural soft power, the Belt and Road Initiative will also promote the internationalization of Chinese standards. Since the reform and opening up, Chinese companies have gone global very fast. But it is an undeniable fact that Chinese companies often encounter so-called international standards, including quality standards, environmental protection standards, etc., so that Chinese companies fail to invest overseas. However, after the Belt and Road Initiative was put forward, while Chinese enterprises went out on a large scale, Chinese standards also quickly went global and achieved internationalization. In order to further promote the internationalization of Chinese standards, in October 2015, the Chinese government passed the Standard Unicom Belt and Road Action Plan. This is the most important step in shaping Chinese standards and promoting the internationalization of Chinese standards, especially in China's advantageous industries such as high-speed railways, electric power, and information technology. In addition, the China Standard also includes the Belt and Road Credit under China's initiative. As we all know, the Belt and Road construction is not a unilateral investment and unidirectional trade by China in the countries along the route, but a process of mutual investment and mutual trade. Therefore, it is necessary to assess the risks of the countries concerned to avoid unnecessary losses. The construction of Belt and Road Credit is also an important part of the Belt and Road Standardization System. In terms of functional soft power, the Belt and Road Initiative helps to enhance China's ability to shape international institutions. After entering the 21st century, China, Russia, and Central Asian countries established the Shanghai Economic Cooperation Organization, which is a new regional multilateral mechanism initiated by China and played a major role. At the initiative of China, the Asian Infrastructure Bank AIIB was established in December 2015 to promote the process of building connectivity and economic integration in the Asian region, and to strengthen cooperation between China and other Asian countries and regions. In terms of policy soft power, the Belt and Road Initiative has shared China's successful experience with the world. The most important thing about the Belt and Road is to share the successful practice of China's modernization with the world. Because the Western countries first carried out the modern industrial revolution, they took the lead in developing their industrial strength and led the trend of world development. However, since the 1980s, China has used its own practice to open up a non-Western way of modernization and has achieved world-renowned achievements. In just 40 years, the social task of 300 years in the modernization process of Western countries has been completed. This kind of miracle has never been preceded in the history of world modernization. This situation is undoubtedly a huge temptation for countries all over the world, and has prompted countries to become interested in China's practice. And the Belt and Road is the best and most direct way to share China's successful practice. In the practice of one belt, one road, the flow of culture is completely multi-directional. Not only Chinese culture flows to countries along the Belt and Road, but also cultures of other countries flow to China. Of course, the One Belt, One Road initiative is an initiative proposed by China. The first emphasis is on the going out of Chinese culture, which flows from China to countries along the route. However, China will also take the initiative to invite the culture of other countries to flow to China. For example, the Shanghai Import Expo is a major initiative to actively promote the flow of culture from other countries into China, which has attracted great attention from relevant countries. The core areas and the vast majority of countries along the Belt and Road have complex ethnic and religious structures, diverse cultures, and some countries are relatively backward in economy. Cross-cultural communication is not to use Chinese words to persuade other countries to accept Chinese culture, but to replace relevant cultural roles and cultural elements reasonably and logically, so that they can have a positive understanding of Chinese culture. From the perspective of cultural roles, cross-cultural communication is to guide each other to understand Chinese culture from the perspective of each other. In today's era, it is not unfamiliar that there are more or less exchanges between different cultures. Therefore, cultural exchange should start from the experience of each other's culture. We can be said to be passively immersed in our own culture, and cross-cultural communication must take the initiative to experience and understand each other's culture more deeply.